Could you start by giving us an overview of the recent Israeli military actions in Gaza and their devastating impact on civilians?
You and your viewers. In fact, the Israeli government is right now living and sustaining itself by the Palestinian blood. And we have seen how Rabin and Smotrich have threatened to withdraw from the government before if no agreement takes place. And right now we can see Netanyahu intensifying his operations in Nusayrat, in Borej, and in some other districts in the middle of the Gaza Strip as well. There is a continuation of offensives in Beit Lahia and as well in other regions around Beit Lahia. This renewed, continued aggression carried out by Israel comes as a attempt to pressurize the Palestinian government in order for it to sit down and ratify an agreement with Israel for it to restore its own hostages. And, the Israeli media has been creating some kind of a public mobilization to the Israeli opinion. They have been telling the masses that Hamas is going to succumb and sit down for an agreement to restore hostages, and that Donald Trump is going to terminate and halt the war in Gaza, but for a limited period of time, or over the last period of time, we have been seeing different Israeli parties speaking about some kind of an imminent deal that has to do with Gaza. And, the media right there is trying to prepare the Israeli settler for many things regarding the new status quo, and specifically regarding the enactment of the next day plan. And the Israeli media disseminate different footage of the fighter of Izzuddin Qassam wearing his military attire. And in fact, Netanyahu is just trying to be ahead of the situation by once more mobilizing the Israeli public opinion and as well to pressurize the Palestinian government.
The humanitarian crisis in Gaza is unprecedented. How has the international community failed to intervene effectively, and what needs to change?
Today, the United Nations commemorates the 77th memory of solidarity with the Palestinian people, which actually was a result of the Security Council resolution number 181. This means that in the United Nations and in the international community, there is such a thing as a Palestinian state. And the developments that have been happening recently, in fact, attest to that as well. It's just the United States that tries to prevent the enactment of the establishment of a sovereign Palestinian state along the 1965 borders. And in fact, the different forces in the international community, I think, need to be mobilized to pressurize the United States to change its stances and positions. And you know, the International Criminal Court, we all know, has issued a ruling against Netanyahu because of his genocidal war crimes and the starvation policies that he has been enacting. And so there is definitely a transition in the international community that is in favor of the highest interests of the Palestinian people. But I would like to reiterate and say that the United States still acts as some kind of a barrier trying to prevent the establishment of a sovereign Palestinian state alongside the borders of the 1965, and they try to support Israel over and over with all they have as well. The humanitarian aid and its entry into the Gaza Strip is something that is definitely a horrendous measure that is as well supported by the United States.
I will take from what you said, sir. Now, we're talking about the international reactions to Israel. Israel's actions have actually drawn accusations from war crimes, from multiple organizations. How might these allegations impact the broader conversation about Israel's accountability?
In fact, what we are talking about is the ruling of superior judicial tribunal, which is the International Criminal Court, which in fact has adjudicated many cases and has issued many important rulings against different dictators like al-Bashir, for instance. And right now, the jury of the ICC is in fact facing some allegations and threatening and menacing allegations that they are going to be convicted of sexual assault and all of these things just to defame them and to deter them. I'm talking about the members of the jury. As well, the United States, we know, is not going to abide by the ruling of the ICC, but, you know, some countries that are lower in scale, like Argentina and other, you know, minor states in the world that don't really have so much of an impact, they expressed that they are going to abide by the ruling of the ICC issued against Netanyahu and his Minister of Defense. But still, there are some things that have to be done for this ruling to take effect, whether by the actual apprehension or arrest of Netanyahu and Gallant, his Minister of Defense. And as well, we have seen the Turkish Parliament and the French Parliament and the Netherlands as well, and Spain. We have seen how these entities, you know, started the operationalization of some measures against Israel, like, for instance, cutting some supply chain to Israel by boycotting or by trying to impede the maritime trade passing through these countries to Israel, or by issuing some requests of arms embargo towards Israel. But still, there is a great transition happening right now, happening in the international community. And this is we have, for instance, Britain, the Netherlands and France that are welcoming this ruling of the ICC. And right now there are serious pursuits from the international community to replicate what is happening in Lebanon and to mirror what's happening in Lebanon, in Gaza by, and I'm talking here about a potential ceasefire to be issued in Gaza.
Yes.